We've all been sold the same story. If you want to succeed, you just have to push harder, right? But what if that's completely, totally wrong? What if the very act of trying harder is the one thing standing in your way? Well, in this explainer, we're going to tear that whole idea apart and look at a much, much smarter way. Does this sound familiar to you? You're giving it absolutely everything, 110%, but you feel like you're just spinning your wheels. Well, that right there, that's the burnout paradox. It's that incredibly frustrating cycle where putting in more effort doesn't get you better results, it just gets you more exhausted. You push and push, you feel more and more resistance, and you're just left wondering, why am I not getting any closer? Okay, so look at this. This slide really lays out two totally different ways to live your life. On the left, you've got hustle culture. It's all about pushing, using brute force, and just running on willpower. But on the right, well, that's a whole different game. It's about flowing, finding alignment, and building smart systems. Let's dive into what that actually means. All right, let's really get into the weeds here and diagnose the problem. The burnout paradox, it's not some kind of personal failure. It's not on you. It's a failure of the system. The whole modern idea of achievement, it's just built on a massive misunderstanding of how we as humans actually work. Here's the absolute core of the issue. We treat our willpower like it's this infinite well we can just keep drawing from, but it's not. It's more like a phone battery, and it drains with every single decision you make all day long. So relying on it to reach your big goals, that's like deciding you're going to push a giant boulder up a hill every single day. Sooner or later, that battery's going to die, and the boulder just rolls right back down.
So if willpower is the wrong engine, what's the right one? Well, the alternative is a concept that's been around for about 2,500 years. It's called Wu Wei. And before you tune out, don't think of this as some dusty old philosophy. Think of it as a super practical operating system for getting things done, one that's actually more relevant today than ever before.
So what exactly is Wu Wei? It's pronounced Wu Wei, and it literally translates to effortless action. Now, effortless doesn't mean you're being lazy or just sitting around. Not at all. It means your actions become so aligned with the way things naturally work that they feel effortless. It's a skill you can actually develop to get the biggest results with the least amount of struggle. This quote from the Tao Te Ching really gets to the heart of it. To act without action, that's not about doing nothing. It's about making your actions so fluid, so perfectly aligned, that it feels like they're just happening through you, not because you're forcing them. It's that state of flow, like a great musician or an athlete who's completely in the zone. And right here, this is the fundamental shift in your mindset. The whole hustle approach is about fighting the river, swimming upstream. The Wu Wei approach, it's about building a better boat. You stop trying to force an outcome with your own energy, and instead, you start designing an environment, a system, where the right outcome just happens naturally, carried by the current. Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, but how do we actually do it? Let's get practical and break down exactly how you can design your own effortless system, one that makes all the right actions feel totally automatic. The whole system really rests on three main pillars. First, you're going to engineer your environment to make good habits the easy choice. Second, you'll find your minimal effective dose. That's the smallest possible action that gets you the biggest result. And third, you're going to start using rest strategically as a tool to solve problems, not just to recover from being burned out. Let's start with step one. This is all about making the right choice the path of least resistance. So if you want to read more, don't rely on your tired brain at the end of the day to find a book. Put it right on your pillow so you can't miss it. If you need to write, set your computer so your draft opens up first, not your distracting email. You're basically creating momentum outside yourself so you don't have to generate it from within. Step two is a game changer. It's all about focusing on impact over just being busy. Hustle culture celebrates a packed schedule, but Wu Wei celebrates getting the important stuff done. It's the 80-20 rule in action. So you have to ask yourself, what is the 20% of my effort that's actually creating 80% of my results? Your whole mission is to figure that out and then protect your time for it like a fortress. You know how hustle culture makes you feel guilty about taking a break? It treats rest like it's a weakness. Well, Wu Wei sees it for what it is, a strategic weapon. And modern science totally backs this up. Our brains often solve our hardest problems when we're not actively trying to. Taking a walk, a shower, that's when the breakthroughs happen. Strategic rest isn't lazy. It's the hidden engine for all your best ideas. So what is it that powers this whole system? What makes it all work? Well, it's the final principle. And honestly, it's the biggest difference between the way of hustle and the way of flow. It's the principle of water on stone. See, the old model is all about intensity. It's about these short, massive, explosive bursts of effort. It demands that you go all out, all the time, which is exactly why it always leads to burnout. It's like trying to run a sprint that has no finish line. But Wu Wei prioritizes something so much more powerful: consistency. It's the small, steady, daily action that, just like drops of water on a stone, creates huge change over time. Seriously, 5 minutes of focused work every single day is infinitely more powerful than one epic 10-hour marathon session that leaves you completely drained for a week. And what's really cool is that this ancient idea has a very modern name. You know that feeling of being totally in the zone, where time just disappears and what you're doing feels totally fluid and easy? Well, psychologists call that a flow state. You can really think of Wu Wei as the ancient operating system for engineering more of that flow into your modern life. So where do you even begin with all this? Let's make it super simple. Here are your first 3 steps. First, do a friction audit. Just identify the top 3 things that create resistance for you every day. Second, engineer your environment. Make one tiny change to your space that makes the right action the easy action. And third, find your MED. Just for 1 week, try to focus only on that high-impact 20% of your work. Look, this isn't about changing your entire life overnight. It's about making one small, really smart change. So the question I want to leave you with is this: what is the one piece of friction, the one little annoyance that you are going to eliminate today?
Like and subscribe for timeless wisdom.